So you're not one of those. You don't celebrate when a relationship has come to an end. You freedom out of toxic
I
situation.
really appreciate liberty in any case. Liberty is number one. If I
Okay.
can be, yeah, I think any relationship would require for me to get into.
Yeah,
Liberty is number one.
number one.
Best believe I am the most, yeah, I have to be free.
I saw.
If it feels like a prison, we're not doing it.
Then it's a problem. I saw a video on social media of an elderly couple,
Yeah.
probably in the 80s, 90s, and they were cuddling and hugging, and the caption wrote, or the POV on top wrote, "I wonder how many times they had to forgive one another during this life of their."
Are you good at that?
Good at forgiving?
Yeah.
I think when you've decided to choose your person, right, and the person you want to be in a relationship with, you understand that the journey is going to be tough. You'll have moments where you're not in alignment, in agreement. But if you're constantly choosing this person, I think it becomes a lot easier to then forgive.
I'm such a grown up.
I'm such a grown up. Wow. Listen, my singleness allows me to give the best advice. So don't trust me. Don't trust me right now. Anyway, this is The Upside with Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Join us live on the SABC Plus app or stream us on www.channelafrica.co.za. And you can also see how we look like in studio. See our faces. Does it match the voice? On social media, we are streaming at Channel Africa 1 on X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and at Channel Africa on Facebook. Use the hashtag The Upside. It's time for What Caught Your Eye. Shall we start with you, ma'am? What caught your eye?
You don't want to go first? I think you should go first.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
So the Mpumalanga Department of Education. Let me start by asking this question: how much do you think a laptop is?
Which brand?
Think of an expensive
spec.
quality.
There are quite a few things.
Think of a quality laptop. How much would you spend on a quality top tier laptop? Proper storage, RAM, all those things. How much would you
How
spend?
much would I spend? Some 32K?
32,000.
Yeah.
That's considered, top tier.
All things
Yeah.
considered. Yeah.
The average person will probably spend about anywhere from 5 to 10 grand, if not 15 grand, for a
Okay.
laptop just to get their work done. The the Mpumalanga Department of Education decided that, you know what, our employees need a laptop that was built on Mars, because that laptop costs 90,000 rand. They bought 22 laptops.
Wait, each?
They bought 22 laptops to the value of 2 million rand. That equates to about 90,000 rand per laptop. And the question then is, for what purposes? Someone in the comment section said, oh, they bought all these laptops so that they can be offline again.
All right, so the department bought them. You don't know if it was for office use. Is it for a school? Do you know the details?
So the conversation is that the Mpumalanga Department of Education says the 22 high-performance laptops procured at the value of over 2 million rand in December last year were specifically purchased for the department's education management information systems and information and communication technology teams and other related officials.
Okay, so I mean, one would then factor in all of what I cited as a determinant in how much a laptop would cost, right?
Yeah, of course.
And it is for their ICT department.
Of course.
So it has to be high performing. It's got to have all the highest specs, one would imagine.
Absolutely.
There are only 22 of them. We've also got to factor in that the bidding companies for this tender obviously put in a little bit extra
course,
for
a little
their
markup.
interest.
Of course, yes.
But at 90K, how specialized are these officials? Number one, I mean, I don't trust that.
Okay, all right.
Are they specialists? They have to tell us what they're specialists in. And what are these computers going to be doing? That's a lot of money.
So an investigation is currently underway
I mean,
to determine exactly.
understandably, I just think the procurement process, obviously, that's where things went wrong, right? And that's where things usually go wrong. And we need to revisit the procurement processes for these government departments, because
as with so
oftentimes it's like the head of department's cousin.
It's a family affair, oftentimes.
And then they're going to get stolen. Or 2 years later, they will still be gathering dust because not a single soul used them. Why? Because they probably didn't have the skills to. You know what I mean?
Anyway, what do you think of this? 2 million rand for 22 laptops, 90,000 rand a laptop. Is it valid? Perhaps you are in the ICT space and you understand that. There are laptops out there that are worth that much, and it's understandable why the Department of Mpumalanga's Education would have bought those laptops. Let us know on our social media platforms at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok.
Mpumalanga is also a province that struggles with their academics each year. Each year, there's a problem with the results coming out of Mpumalanga. So, man, it really is saddening. It's disheartening to hear that these things are still happening.
Anyway, what caught your eye, man?
What caught mine is a little lighter, or maybe not, actually.
Okay.
One Tigress Access, an ex-user.
Okay.
Went on to X a couple of hours ago, a couple of days ago, congratulating Tyler, our Tyler, for having been chosen as one of the celebrities whose smoothie would be at the new smoothie is called Bliss. But this, I'm not sure what company this is, abroad. Mm-hmm. That has a Tyler smoothie. So she designed her own smoothie.
Okay, that's big.
What she has said is that she wants the proceeds of this smoothie to go to 1828, which is an organization here in South Africa, which helps girls with education and personal development.
Oh, that's nice. That's very thoughtful.
I mean, it is amazing. It really is fantastic because this smoothie is going to sell out. Oftentimes when other companies, I know that Krispy Kreme's does this as well with celebrities. They design all their own limited edition cookies and all. The response to that tweet, all right, a Stella Star, another user called Stella Star, responded and said, "What has black coffee done for South African men since he won a Grammy? Oh, Tyler, you'll always be famous." And this has garnered so much response on social media. Because now there's a comparison between these two South African international stars with regards to how they are plowing back to South African communities, one being a woman, one being a man, and Black Coffee, being, I suppose, the biggest star between the two.
Well, at the moment, yes.
So people are saying, what have you done for South African men outside of your fellow DJ friends? So I would argue that he has done a lot for the music scene, for the South African music scene, putting on other DJs,
many artists,
right?
Yes, now they're international because of those plugins.
However, Tebogo, and he went into the music scene because he wanted, number one, to self-actualize because he had this talent. Number two, to put bread on the table for his children and his family, and he's doing exactly that. So no one can argue with that, right? We're here for our own families.
Yeah, of course.
However, given our context, where just a couple of days ago, again, on social media, it was trending that boy children are left behind. And it's precisely because older, more prominent men in our society are not doing anything to pull them up. Maybe people have a point.
Does he not have a foundation?
He does. I don't know what the foundation does. Do you?
Anyway, well, let's unpack that a bit further after this. For now, let's catch up with what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon, guys. We begin with football news. Zimbabwe has opted to host the 2026 World Cup qualifying match against South Africa in Rwanda, shifting the fixture from their previous home venue in South Africa. Zimbabwe will now take on South Africa in Kigali on the 5th of October. Due to a FIFA ban preventing Zimbabwe from hosting international matches, the team has been using South Africa as their temporary base. Zimbabwe is on bottom of Group C with 5 points. Group leaders South Africa are currently on 13 points, followed by Rwanda and Benin Republic with 8 points each. Nigeria trails with 7, while Lesotho and Zimbabwe have 6 and 5 points respectively. South Africa's remaining matches include a trip to Lesotho on the 1st of September, a home game against Nigeria on the 5th, and their final 2 fixtures against Zimbabwe and Rwanda. And the coach of South Africa's national under-20 football team, Raymond Mdaga, is confident that the team is ready for the under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON, as they head to Egypt tonight. Mdaga's squad, minus some of the players who have either not been released by their clubs or will join the team later this week in Egypt, beat Sekhukhune United's ABC Motsepe League team 5-0 on Tuesday. Mdaga revealed that they would have loved to play against a team also playing at this AFCON, but says they are still fine with their preparations.
You know, as a coach, you must know you're always on your toes. And the technical team and the boys know that when things change, you really and immediately adjust. In the initial preparation, we're supposed to play Congo before they also changed because it also affected them to say the tournament now is no more in Ivory Coast, it's in Egypt, so we can't be able to play the match. We would have loved to have an extra match. Hence, even the match that we're playing, we wanted like a team that is, in the look of things, is in a better level compared to the boys.
On to rugby news. Despite a 42-31 defeat to Italian side Benetton at Emirates Airline Park last weekend, South Africa's Lions head coach Ivan van Rooyen remains confident they can still push for a Vodacom United Rugby Championship URC playoff spot. The Lions were down 32-17 at halftime, but rallied in the second half with tries from Edwil van der Merwe and JC Pretorius. Van Rooyen says they believe in the squad is still strong heading into the final 3 pool matches.
I still believe we've got 3 bags, 3 wins that we need to get here. That is close in between there. Everyone, the nice thing, the reality is all the teams are playing each other and we just sort each other out. So we knew we had 4 games against the teams that it's in competition for that 6, 7, 8 spot. We're still alive. I'll believe it. We'll speak it, but we need to be better.
The Lions picked up a bonus point for scoring 4 tries, but Van Rooyen admits too many handling errors and missed opportunities, even with Benetton down to 14 men 3 times in the second half, proved costly.
Penalties, I think something like 8 times we gave them a penalty within 3 phases when we were defending. So then they get 33 plus position, advancing up the field, then they can dictate the tempo of the game. So too many errors from our side. Again, good fight. Again, time fighting back. But I mean, if you're that far behind, then time catches up with you.
Lastly, teen sprint GOAT has been confirmed on Australia's team for the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo in September. The 17-year-old son of South Sudanese immigrant will run in the 200 meters after clocking a wind-assisting 19.84 seconds in Perth this month to win his first national title. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
Indeed, your voice matters. Let's catch up with some business news now.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Good afternoon, I'm Nusipho Zuma. In your business news, the SAWA, South Africa's Communications and Digital Technologies Minister, Solly Malatsi, says government is looking at ways to make smartphones affordable as the country moves towards the 5G connection. Malatsi says everyone deserves to enjoy the benefits to access low-cost smartphones and internet. Millions of rural consumers are still relying on 3G phone due to high cost of 5G smartphones. Malatsi was speaking at the 45th SATA conference taking place in Sandton, Johannesburg under the theme ICT connectivity and service delivery for the benefit of all.
The South African government has taken the first step in terms of removing some of the artificial barriers for access with the removal of the 9% ad valorem excise duty on smartphones priced below 2,500 rand. This intervention serves as an example of the policy levers that governments can use to improve access, but we know that governments alone cannot solve the challenges that continue to perpetuate digital exclusion.
South African Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago says the G20 must decide which issues to prioritize and establish better processes to reclaim its impact. Kganyago delivered the keynote address at an event in Washington on the sidelines for the 2025 spring meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. He says the G20 must find relevance beyond crisis.
When we say, for instance, that the G20's relevance is fading, I think we mean that the agenda, always rich in topics, is overloaded and too complex. While there are many agenda items suitable for recent technocratic discussions, such as improving payment systems or helping heavily indebted poor countries, the G20 cannot effectively address itself to all of them.
South Africa's headline consumer inflation fell more sharply than expected in March to 2.7% year-on-year from 3.2% in February. Economists polled had forecast annual inflation would slow to 2.9%, just below the bottom of the South African Reserve Bank's 3% to 6% target range. The central bank last month left its main lending rate unchanged after 3 consecutive rate cuts, citing risks stemming from U.S. President Donald Trump's global trade war and the country's disputed national budget. Apple has been fined $570 million and Meta $229 million as European Union antitrust regulators handed out the first sanctions under landmark legislation aimed at curbing the power of big tech. The EU fines could stoke tensions with U.S. President Donald Trump, who has threatened to levy tariffs against countries that penalize U.S. companies. The sanctions follow a year-long investigation by the European Commission, the EU executive, into whether the companies comply with the Digital Markets Act that seeks to allow smaller rivals into markets dominated by the biggest companies. And finally, the International Monetary Fund has reported that the U.S. economy will experience slower economic growth and higher prices, in part due to U.S. President Donald Trump's global tariffs. The organization also predicted UK inflation would be the highest in the world's advanced economies this year at 3.1%, largely due to higher bills, including for energy and water. Growth in the U.S. is now expected to be 1.8% this year, down from the IMF's estimate of 2.7% for the US in January. The BBC's Michael Fleury has them.
In a sobering report, the International Monetary Fund warned that the decision to raise tariffs to levels exceeding the highs reached during the Great Recession marked the start of a new era, one that would slow global growth and hit the world's largest economy hardest. The IMF slashed its US growth forecast by nearly 1% in its quarterly report on the outlook for the global economy, adding that inflation would also be higher. The Chinese economy is likely to suffer from higher tariffs too, although to a lesser degree.
Your financial indicators: one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 603, and Botswana it's 13 bula 60. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 88, and in Zambia it's 28 kwacha 43. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 77. Russia is 81 rubles 30. India is 85 rupees 16. China at 7 yuan 31, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 18 rand 62. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,455 and platinum at $966 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.14 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipo Zuma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Indeed, it is the upside. It's 43 minutes after 1 Central African time, and we're getting into, Tebogo and I are starting the show today. We're speaking about our comfort food, and only because it is really cold out here in Johannesburg this afternoon. And just so staying with the topic of food, DMG Events is partnering up with the Dubai World Trade Center, and they're bringing, I can't imagine this, 350 exhibitors of various types of food.
That's a lot.
And they are expecting to attract some 6,000 visitors from 25 plus countries. And this will be out at the Cape Town International Convention Center from the 10th to the 12th of June. But running alongside that will be the Africa Food Summit, where food will be meeting the future with conversations on climate smart nutrition. Do you know what that is?
No idea.
Yeah, all right. Global trends, as well as Africa's rise as a food powerhouse. But, a person who does know the answer to all of the questions that we have is events manager of DMG Events, and that's Margaret Peters. Margaret, hi. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Margaret, 350 plus exhibitors at the Cape Town International Convention Center between the 10th to the 12th of June. All I can imagine are the aromas at the convention center, just walking in.
Absolutely.
A clash of aromas. A clash of aromas is what I'd call it. Tell us about this concept. This is the inaugural one, how it came about, and really what's the idea behind it?
Awesome. Thank you so much. So previously we had run an exhibition based up in Johannesburg, and we have now launched the Africa Food Show in Cape Town. So it will be the inaugural event that takes place, as you mentioned, on the 10th and 12th to the 12th of June at the Cape Town Convention Center. And we're very targeted at various sectors within the food industry. So we have meat and poultry and technology and ingredients and beverages. So there's many different sectors that we target. And then we obviously fulfill that with having 350 plus exhibitors that come onto the show. So it's really, really exciting. There's lots of new flavors. There's lots of we're obviously tapping into snackification and what that means, and healthy snacks, and just looking at the options and opportunities that South Africa and Africa have to offer.
Sure.
Snackification.
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 Yo, I've been wondering what it's called.
So it's also having alternatives to unhealthy snacks to look at, obviously, from what we can. So we'll be covering that also in the summit, the Africa Food Summit. And that's a big topic that will obviously be discussed, and just looking what that looks like as opposed to having healthy alternatives, because we find now that people aren't necessarily potentially having as many big meals, but maybe more lighter and frequent snack type of meals as well.
Well, thank you so much for giving it a name, because I've been wondering what I've been doing all this time. I'm a proper snacktificate something. Margaret, the tagline could have easily been for this event, where Africa meets the world through food. Let's talk about why Cape Town specifically. Why was it the chosen destination?
I mean, who doesn't love Cape Town? Let's be honest.
I mean,
so from just the point of view, there's so much happening in Cape Town, and we've also got the big retailers, the 5 main retailers that are based in Cape Town. So that, from a perspective of bringing in the buyers, has a big pull on the visitor that comes to the exhibition as well. And then from an international perspective, we have a lot of international companies that are coming through to the event. So we obviously thought, from a tourism perspective, Cape Town has a lot to offer from an engagement perspective, but it's got some amazing restaurants just on our doorsteps. It's got, the wine farms. It's got everything kind of right here for the visitor and the international buyers to experience as well. So as a holistic view, Cape Town has a lot to offer from engaging with our internationals as well.
Absolutely. Margaret, let's talk about the various conversations that will be had at the Africa Food Summit. You say here that you're going to be speaking about climate smart nutrition, snackification is also one of them. What are the other themes that you will be exploring?
So also we're looking at transforming Africa's food systems and what that looks like, and designing kind of nutritious food without a premium. So we're looking at topics such as that. Then we've got climate-centric innovations. That's looking at the acceleration to kind of a net zero perspective. We've got lots of other fireside chats that are happening, which is prioritizing health and safety in the food sector as well. So there are many different panel discussions as well. We've got a value chain 360, which is looking at visibility, AI, and the bottom line. So there'll be many topics that are covered. And it's also, when we're talking about snacking, like what the customers are actually craving, getting into the details on that. How the on-the-go consumers' eating habits changing and developing. So there are many, many subjects and themes that we'll go into and discuss. So, anything from a technology, we're also touching on technology in a big way. So kind of the digital consumer, how technology is reshaping food and beverage industries in Africa. So there's lots of really meaty topics that will be discussed within the conference. So we're looking at about 250 delegates that we would be. So if people are wanting to register and come as a delegate, they can do so on www.theafricafoodshow.com is our website. And then there's a process, obviously, if you wanted to come as a delegate to the conference.
And Margaret, with over 25 representatives, different countries represented, what does this say about the growing interest in the food ecosystem in Africa, not just locally, but internationally as well?
Yes. So I think they're definitely tapping into what we can do from a perspective of those companies reaching and seeing which buyers are coming in from Africa as well, from South Africa. We recently did a roadshow into Nigeria and to Kenya. And it was really interesting because obviously just bringing in the African element to the show.
Yeah.
And they're also intrigued to see what South African exhibitors have, but then on an international front as well. We've got a large contingent and component of international exhibitors that will be showcasing. So they come from the Netherlands, we've got from Germany, Poland, Brazil, China. So there are many, many pavilions that are going to be at the show, which just shows you that they see the potential in Africa and specifically are intrigued to see what develops out of Cape Town.
Talk to us about some of the pioneers in the food industry that will be attending, so for those who do want to come as an opportunity to network as well.
Yes, from a networking perspective, as I mentioned, we've got many sectors that we have companies coming to showcase and exhibit within that. So we've got companies on the meat and poultry. We've got Karen Beef, we've got N1 Beef, we have got Beef Master, Excellent Meats. We've got poultry companies as well. Then we've got Ina Parmans, we've got Petite Forrester, Cater Corp, Namlo. There are many exhibitors that are on the show that are really significant companies within the industry that will be showcasing their products and looking for buyers and engaging and networking, as you say, with the visitors. And also a lot of collaboration happens on the floor as well. So between exhibitors, lots of business that we found happens just with regards to networking on the floor. So we're bringing all those people together, and it brings about huge opportunity from a collaboration perspective and networking perspective. So we bring together people on the floor, then we bring in the internationals, and we bring in the local suppliers as well.
Well, speaking of collaborations, I don't think it would be a food show without a food competition. Do you have any challenges or competitions that we can look forward to?
Yes, we do. So we are working with Econo Foods that are presenting 3 feature areas. So we've got the National Burger and Pizza Challenge.
Ooh.
Then we've got the Game of Chefs. And then we're also working with the Chefs Association, where we're going to have another demonstration area where we're bringing in Michelin star chefs and very prolific chefs from Cape Town as well. And they will be putting together dishes and serving that to VIPs. So there are many areas of excitement that you can, when you come onto the floor, there'll be lots of touch points that you can see collaborations. And we're also working with SA Bakers Association, which will have a South African bakers stand as well, where they'll do lots of exciting baking challenges. So yeah, lots and lots to look out for. So if you're into winning the biggest burger challenge or pizza challenge, it's definitely something to come and watch. It's great excitement.
It sounds it. I mean, my mouth is watering as you speak. I mean, when you were speaking about bakers, I thought, oh my goodness, all the baked goods. They just get me. I can just smell it already. But let's talk about how one gets involved. I mean, if you are coming as a delegate, you said that your website is open, and just as a reveler, I mean, if I just have an interest, is it the same process as well?
Yes, if you're wanting to become an exhibitor at the show, space is very limited, so it would be a matter of getting in contact with us very soon, because we just about sold out on the floor, but there is still opportunity. So if you're wanting to get hold of us to be an exhibitor on the Africa Food Show, you can also go through the website, or you can contact me directly. I'll share my contact details with you, that's not a problem. But otherwise, as I mentioned, www.theafricafoodshow.com. And then if you're wanting to register as a visitor, you can also do that through the website as well. So your website you'll best go to where you can register for the event.
Margaret, what is your go-to snack?
Goodness me, what if I say knickknacks?
That's fine. Yes, I mean, that's not a problem.
I mean, I don't know. I was expecting, for a Margaret, I was expecting something a little bit more sophisticated and complicated than that, Margaret.
Like a pecan trail
mix.
No,
I'm really kidding. Just being 100% honest.
Yeah, I
love
that.
For me, I love a chocolate-coated seed bar. Is my ultimate snack that I would go to.
All right. Talking about seed bars, I don't know if you are au fait with that story about the Dubai. You know about the Dubai chocolate that has now seen pistachios around the world be at a deficit. We're out of pistachios, it seems.
It is the most delicious treat you've ever had.
Really? So you've spent 500 rands?
I would. It's amazing.
Okay. I suppose coming from you, then I suppose we need to try it. 500 rands for a bar.
Wait, Margaret, so you've tried it before, like the one from Dubai?
I have indeed. When we were at Gulf Food, they spoiled us and they gave us some of the Dubai chocolates.
Yeah.
And I must say, I treasured it and I ate it without sharing with my children.
Describe to us how it tasted, and the reason I ask is because we've seen so many is not make sure types of Dubai chocolates in South Africa, and people are spending a ridiculous amount of money only to say, hey, it's not the legitimate one. So how does it actually taste like?
So when you break it in half, it's literally like gooey and delicious. And you put it in your mouth and it melts in your mouth. It is phenomenal. So I'm going to definitely see if some of our Dubai exhibitors can showcase that on the floor.
Please. And we can't wait to talk to you further about it or be part of the action, in fact, from the 10th to the 12th of June out at the Cape Town International Convention Centre. Margaret, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. But do give us your number. You said you'd give us your contact details or an email address where people can get in touch with you.
My email address is Margaret, MARGARET, Peters, PETERS, at dmgevents.com.
All right, that seems easy enough. Margaret Peters, thank you very much. And Margaret is speaking to us there about the event that will be held between the 10th to the 12th of June in Cape Town. And it is a collaboration between DMG Events as well as Dubai World Trade Center. That's wow. Margaret Peters.
What a success story also for DMG Events to be collaborating with Dubai World Trade Center. It's a massive, first of its kind, first in Africa.
In Cape Town.
In Cape Town, rather. And I can't wait. I hope our producer will get us some tickets because...
No, we have to broadcast from there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, I want to have that giant burger. I think in one sitting...
Oh, is that what you call
that's exactly what it's called. I think I would win that challenge to gulf it down.
To eat it.
To eat it. I don't know if they're going to time you and say, okay, cool, the quickest person.
Really? You think you'd win?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
I'm the kind of
guy.
There
are people who are serious out there. Hey?
I'm the kind of guy that eats maybe 2 full chickens, maybe as a starter, and then we have proper meal afterwards. So a cake would not be a problem, or rather not, a burger would not be a problem. So I'm looking forward to that personally, and then hopefully we'll get a taste of that Dubai famous decadent chocolatey chocolate with all the pistachio in it. Oh, I can't wait for that one, because I've seen so many horrific videos of the ones that is not make sure, those videos that I saw.
I can't wait for the confectionery. So all the...
okay, all right.
All the scones.
The Danish pastries.
Yeah, that's with a cup of tea. That would be nice. All right, let us know if, you know, what you feel like, what you will be having today if you're out in South Africa and you are experiencing this rather gloomy weather, or wherever you are. What are you having for lunch? What are you having for lunch this afternoon? +2763 406 9126. And we're going to be crossing over to Jwalane Thulo in a bit. Jwalane, what do you typically have as comfort food, seeing as the weather is not so sunny and friendly?
I love traditional food, and I make it myself. I don't like other people making it for me.
Oh, really? So the tribe,
so the dumpling, the sam. Yeah, I love that.
So would you say you've got a trust issue?
A trust, yes. When it comes to people cleaning their mohodu, I do.
Oh, yeah, there is that. Next thing, it's all stony.
Yeah, and what I've realized is that actually some cultures, we don't have it the same. Yeah. Some people like those stones in the mohodu, and I think, no, let's clean it thoroughly.
Put it in your washing machine. It's 2 o'clock Central African time. Jwalane Thulo Ngubeni standing by.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Top stories. Sawa, U.S. senior advisor for Africa, hopeful of a peace settlement in the DRC conflict, and U.S. authorities to ban the use of synthetic dyes in food. Good afternoon. The U.S. senior advisor for Africa says he believes a peace settlement in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo is likely. Masat Boulos, who recently met the Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and the Rwandan leader Paul Kagame, said both sides were serious. He added that the United States was interested in deals on critical minerals with both countries, but said that would need a lasting peace.
Our role is to encourage dialogue between both sides. Now I'm talking about the DRC and Rwanda side, but also internal dialogue within the DRC, such as a dialogue between the DRC government with the M23. This is happening now, and this is a very good development.
South Africa's National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola has assured the nation that President Cyril Ramaphosa and Deputy President Paul Mashatile are in safe hands. This comes as Deputy President Paul Mashatile's convoy was shot at earlier this month. Masemola has confirmed there was a shooting incident and an extensive investigation is still underway with the ballistics report already concluded. Masemola says crime intelligence is conducting its regular risk assessment on both President Ramaphosa and Deputy President Mashatile. He says members of the Presidential Protection Service are highly trained and have the necessary expertise to avert any risk and threat. Secretary-General of South Africa's African National Congress Party, Fikile Mbalula, says Pope Francis will be remembered as a person who fought for global peace. He says the Pope stood for what he believed in, even though at times people questioned his leadership at the church, but never backed down in fighting for the most marginalized. The Pope died on Monday at the age of 88. Mbalula attended a memorial service in honor of the late Pope Francis, hosted by the Cathedral of Christ the King in Johannesburg.
Pope Francis was a bridge builder. Pope Francis was somebody who defied dogma and even ventured into things that others dare. And to a point that others will question him in relation to the church that he belonged to, that probably there is a total departure, which there was not. He will be missed. He will be missed. He will be appreciated. He was appreciated.
Ghanaian President John Mahama has suspended the country's Supreme Court Chief Justice, a move that marks a first in the country's history. An investigation has been launched and 3 undisclosed petitions have been filed making allegations against Gertrude Tokono, calling for her permanent removal. Elizabeth Mapari has the story.
Chief Justices in Ghana enjoy security of tenure, meaning they can only be removed from office on a few grounds, which include incompetence and misbehavior. The content of the petitions has not been made public and she's yet to comment, while Ghana's former Attorney General has claimed her suspension is an attempt to undermine the judiciary. Tokono is Ghana's 3rd female Chief Justice and was nominated in 2023 by former President Nana Akufo-Addo. According to news agency Reuters, Tokono survived a removal request earlier this year when former President Akufo-Addo said a petition to have her dismissed had several deficiencies.
The U.S. health authorities say the use of synthetic dyes in food will be banned from the end of next year. The Commissioner for the Food and Drug Administration, Marty Macquarie, cited studies linking petroleum-based dyes to conditions including ADHD, which food companies dispute. The dyes are used in breakfast cereals, confectionery and beverages. Macquarie advocated for the use of natural ingredients.
For companies that are currently using petroleum-based red dye, try watermelon juice or beet juice. For companies currently combining petroleum-based yellow chemical and red dyes together, try carrot juice.
Recapping the top story this hour, the U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa says he believes a peace settlement in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo is likely. Masad Boulos, who recently met the Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and the Rwandan leader Paul Kagame, said both sides were serious. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It's Hump Wednesday. This is The Upside with Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Gloomy afternoon in Johannesburg, South Africa. The clouds are out to play. You know what's always fascinating? When you're flying, and you see this obviously, right, when you're on the ground, but when you're flying, right, and then you get above the clouds, you realize that the sun is always shining, the sky is always blue.
It's just about perspective.
It's perspective, isn't it? There's always a silver lining, even in the most gloomiest of situations. How's your Wednesday going? Let us know on our WhatsApp line, +2763 406 9126. We're in the second hour of The Upside. I've got a question for you, Nompumelelo. How do you know?
I'm always nervous about these questions, yeah?
You should not be. How do you know that a colleague is about to resign? What are the telltale signs? What are the telltale signs that a colleague is about to, wait, I'm out of here?
Oh, that's interesting. I think we work in an industry where often it comes as a surprise.
Often, yeah. Our industry, absolutely, yeah. But there must be telltale signs. There must be sort of...
Unless you're close with said person.
Yeah.
So, your relationship goes beyond...
just getting the work done and going home.
Collegiality.
Yeah.
Then I don't think I can tell. I'm always like shocked. I'm the girl who finds out 2 weeks after people have left. In fact, it's weird because just yesterday I texted a former colleague. I didn't know she had left until...
Wow.
My former colleague at a specific organization posted that they now work together. And I was like, wait, what? She's no longer working with me?
When did she leave?
Yeah. So I never know. I'm the wrong person to ask.
I would have thought there would be telltale signs. For example, person comes late to work nowadays all of a sudden, and then they leave super early. They have a sort of don't care attitude about the way they do their work. And maybe you see them taking a lot of personal calls. They're leaving in our context, they leave the studio more frequently than normal. They're constantly on their phone, private. Aren't those little telltale signs like
no? If you start taking calls outside of the studio, I'll just think you're working on a deal, and it's for that period because you don't. This is outside of your normal behavior, right?
Fair enough.
So in the next 2 months, for instance, or the next week, you need to be liaising with whomever it is that you're working with. I'll think there's probably like a personal thing that you're dealing with. If you start coming late. Are you fatigued about something? And again, because of the nature of our relationship, if I'm in the position to ask you, hey, what's happening? Then I'll find out. But other than that, I'll just think this one is relaxing a bit these days, But I wouldn't think. My first instinct wouldn't be to think you're resigning.
Let us know. What do you think? Are there any telltale signs that someone is about to resign? A colleague? Have you seen them? Perhaps you are in the process of resigning yourself. What are some of the things that you are doing that you were not doing a couple of months ago when you made the decision?
Or maybe you just want to be pushed out because there also is that.
Oh yeah.
You really are just wanting management to. But there are people not in this economy.
Well, to protect their, severance.
No, but it wouldn't.
I don't know, because you wouldn't want to be Actually, if you're fired, that's worse, isn't
it? It is.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think people would, I suppose, jeopardize themselves. Also, you don't want to burn bridges. Blah blah blah. All of this advice were given when you're pissed off and you want to leave. Don't burn bridges.
I've burned so many.
You've burnt many.
I've burned so many.
You're
Anyway,
like, ha ha ha.
I'm like, hey, I'm done. Go next. Anyway, what's coming up on the show in this hour? We are talking all things travel. Can we start making travel, intra-Africa travel, a bit more affordable? Let it not just be a luxury thing, but let it be an every person thing. Can we enjoy our continent, the beauty thereof, the communities, the cultures? Can we travel within Africa instead of trying to go to Dubai and Thailand because it's cheaper?
What do you have against Dubai? I mean, it's always, what's happening? What is it?
I think it's
what has Dubai ever
done? I think it's because I've never been there. I've never been there.
All right, it's 11 minutes after 2 Central African time. While I commiserate with Tebogo during the break, let's get some music. When we come back, we'll speak travel.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Reports that over 3 million children are involved in prostitution globally, while the International Labour Organization estimates that 1 million people are trafficked annually for sexual exploitation. Many victims are lured with false promises of a better future.
We have serious problems, Lulu. One, we had porous, got us easy access of these criminal transnational syndicates coming in and living at ease. Number one. Number two, we also have a problem where some of our law enforcement officers, those who are rogue, who work hand in glove with the syndicates because they give them something in return of them turning a blind eye. Point number three, we have a problem of corruption that leads to us being a playground of this transnational organized crime.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
An investigation by South Africa's non-profit organization Open Secrets has found that telecoms company MTN has played a role in shutting down the internet during elections and wars in Sudan, Cameroon, Iran, Afghanistan and Uganda, thus enabling governments to silence the opposition.
Interestingly, this isn't just unique to MTN. I think the report also looks at Vodacom DRC as being a proponent of one of these violations, particularly in shutting down the internet during the elections in 2018 and 2019. Autocratic regimes are able to utilize the licenses that they have with these telecom companies basically to, suppress political dissent. And the result is that many people are left without connectivity. And not only does this affect people's ability to communicate with their loved ones and access vital emergency services, but also at a very basic level of access to information.
The Open Secrets investigator, Lufono Ntuli.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa. Weekdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Central African Time. Connecting Africa to the world. The Upside. Your daily dose of inspiration, innovation, and untold stories from across Africa. With Nompumelelo and Tebogo.
And DJ Maporisa, as well as MFR Souls there with Azisha.
Did you say human Tuto or Tuto
Tuto
the human?
the human DJ.
The human DJ.
Tuto, what else would you be, bro?
In a world of AI.
Well, suppose you have a point. I don't think that's what Tuto was thinking there, but that one is Azishe. Featuring Schley, and it is by MFR Souls, Tuto the Human DJ, and DJ Maporisa, bringing us to 18 minutes after 2 Central African time. If you've just joined us, you are just in time to speak all things travel in this hour, yeah?
Listen, imagine an Africa where moving between Lagos and Kigali is as easy as flying from Joburg to Cape Town, where business, culture, and innovation flow as freely as people do. Well, that's the vision of Pendo Lema, founder of Tempo Africa, who's tackling the red tape, infrastructure gaps, and mindset blocks that make travel within our continent a luxury, not a right. From breaking visa barriers to designing cross-border transport solutions, she's on a mission to connect Africa, not just through roads and airports, but through possibility. And she joins us on the upside. Pendo Lema, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the upside. I think we've... there we go. We're going to get her on the line.
We're going to get her on the line soon.
Exciting conversation, though. Pendo, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the upside.
Thank you so much. Hi, how is South Africa?
It is a bit gloomy, but actually the sun is peeking out a little bit. But
it's been cold.
It's been a chilly day so far. Pendo, let's talk about Tempo Africa. It was born out of frustration. What was your enough is enough that sparked this movement?
All right. It was about time. I felt like it was about time that we own our own Africa. It was about time that we see what we have just in the neighborhood, you know? When COVID hit in, we had some restrictions on traveling, you know. So we're like, you know what? We have so much to be proud of. We have so much to visit within our own continent.
Yeah.
So why don't I start something that is just for Africa, you know? We own our Africa and make sure we utilize what we have effectively. So that's how the idea came in. And it came in exactly 2019. You can imagine.
Oh, man, just at the time at which we were about to see COVID then. All right, we'll get into your story a little further, Pendo, but we do have to take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue speaking to you. It is 21 minutes after 2 Central African time.
All right.
Join Tebogo and Nompumelelo on the upside, where optimism meets opportunity. If you are an upcoming artist looking to showcase your music to a wider audience, or just looking to promote your music on the radio, we can help. But there are few things you can do to increase your chances of success. 1. Send your music to music@channelafrica.co.za. 2. We require the following information to help you best. Your label, your ISRC code, title of the song, performer, composer, publisher, author, language, genre. These are the things we would like to compose your musical bio. 3. Listen to Channel Africa play your music on the radio. The perfect soundtrack for your day. With Channel Africa and your music, you will never be bored because we play your music. Experience the best African music on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join Tebogo and Nompumelelo on the upside, where optimism meets opportunity.
It is 22 minutes after 2 Central African time. We're still in conversation with the founder of Tempo Africa, and that is Pendo Lema. Pendo, let's talk about some of the impediments. I mean, I'm sure in your realization of, the beauty that we have here on the continent and the fact that Africans are under exploring this beauty, you also come to the realization that there are some material reasons that stop us Africans from traveling on the continent.
Sorry, I beg your pardon?
Pendo, I'm just asking about some of the challenges that stop Africans from exploring the continent.
Okay, actually there are so many reasons as to why there are so many challenges that we don't explore Africa. Some of those reasons are infrastructures, and sorry guys, are we live?
We are, and we can hear you clearly. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so you can go ahead.
All right. Infrastructure is one of the biggest challenge, and there's so much inconsistent in road networks, limited railway services, and underdeveloped airport facilities. So when you look at the way we travel within Africa, sometimes it takes a lot of, struggles and hassles to travel within Africa, including visa limitations. Yeah. So also, we don't have so many direct flights. For example, apart from having a direct flight from, let's say, from Tanzania to South Africa, not all the countries that have direct flights from where they are to the other country so that they could go for tourism. So among the biggest challenge is one of them, visa and the infrastructure, including the direct flighting, we could even have some railway solutions. So I think our continent should consider that. We can have flighting and all other infrastructure, but we should think of also railway. Like, for example, in Tanzania right now, they're constructing a railway from Tanzania to Zambia, over 1,600 kilometers, a standard gauge railway. So you can imagine it will be easier for us, for example,
Absolutely.
Tanzania to move to Zambia to go see the waterfalls easier without connecting flights, because we do not have currently the direct flight to Zambia.
And Pendo, for those who still think and still believe that traveling within Africa is expensive, you think about the different packages, you think about the accommodations, it seems like it's tailored more for an international tourist who can afford it more than it is for Africans. Does that need to change for the context of the continent?
Exactly. I think apart from my country as Tanzania, the way we tailor-make the family packages to visit the local safaris, let's say, is different from how we package
All right, it seems we have lost Pendo.
Oh, we did.
All right, let's try to re-establish that line with her because she was about to touch on something important, that is the cost implications of traveling within the continent. It really, and she was speaking about the different packages. I don't think all travel agencies are cognizant of this. I think there's a blanket package for travelers. So as long as you are coming outside of said country, and it doesn't matter whether it is from a neighboring country or not, you will be paying quite high prices.
I realize that. So in South Africa, for example, they would have a package or a deal or a rate for South Africans. And then they'll also have a rate for people who are not. But even when you're in Africa, like there must be some sort of African rate. You know what I mean? Because within Africa, we want to travel more, we want to explore, and we want to build and grow the intra-trade and intra-travel. And the only way we can do that is if we allow ourselves to have more packages that are tailored
to us, to our pockets.
To our pockets.
My word. I mean, I loved that point that she raised about rail as well. It is
That's brilliant, right?
Such an easy way to travel.
Yeah.
There are rail networks everywhere that are, for the most part, in the main, just left barren and underused. So rail is a fantastic mode of transport. Pendo is back on the line. Pendo, you were just answering Tebogo on the cost implications of traveling on the continent for Africans.
Yeah. So I was saying, for example, in our country, the government has put it clear that for the locals, it's not expensive to travel or to go for safari, for Zanzibar beach and all that. But then for someone from Africa coming in, you're literally a foreigner. So I think all the countries and all the tour operators should consider to lower the costs, because now we don't want to make so much money out of it. We want us or Africans to appreciate what African has, because there's so much a Tanzania would benefit from South Africa, or South Africa would benefit from Rwanda, Burundi. So we should look at this as we want to explore and own our Africa and make sure we know and experience the beauty that Africa has, instead of going maybe thinking of looking for like a lot of money, spending a lot of money going abroad. So I think all the tour operators should even come together. We have some institutes or different countries that we need to talk about it and come along and think of reducing the costs, not leave along the travel costs, but at least the touring costs.
Yeah. I really love that. I think there has to be some kind of travel symposium led by you, Pendo, where you can table some of these ideas. We are in conversation with the founder of Tempo Africa, and that is Pendo Lema, speaking about intra-African travel. When we come back from the sports news, we'll just explore some other alternatives. I also don't think that Africans are very creative with how they travel. Yeah?
Creative? Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Let's
explore that when we come back. It is 30 minutes after 2 Central African time. Let's head on over to sports news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We start off with athletics and Olympics this time around. The Vice President and the head of the Kenya Judo Federation, Shadrack Maluki, is eyeing the presidency as the National Olympics Committee of Kenya, NOC, goes to the polls and has promised more inclusivity for the national body. Maluki, currently the first Vice President and the head of the Kenya Judo Federation, seeks to replace the legendary Paul Taggart, who is exiting after serving his constitutional 2 terms. Speaking exclusively ahead of the polls, Maluki says his experience stands out amongst his peers and is the best man for the job. Maluki, who was Kenya's chef de mission at the last Olympic Games in Paris, says he also wants to ensure that the country's medal haul at the next Games in Los Angeles in 2028 is expanded to just modern athletics. Some more athletics. Teen sprinter Gold has been confirmed on Australia's team for the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo in September. The 17-year-old son of South Sudanese immigrants will run in the 200 meters after clocking a wind-assisted 19.84 seconds in Perth this month to win his first national title. The Queenslander's rapid rise has raised comparisons with Jamaican great Usain Bolt and made him the poster boy for Australian track and field 7 years before the country hosts the Brisbane Olympics in 2032. Gold headlines a talented young contingent on the Australian team, which includes 18-year-old Cameron Myers, who took the 1,500 meters national title in Perth and ran the fastest ever mile indoors among the 20 athletes at the Melrose Games in New York in February. And now on to football news. Zimbabwe has opted to host their 2026 World Cup qualifying match against South Africa in Rwanda, shifting the fixture from the previous home venue in South Africa. Zimbabwe will now take on South Africa in Kigali on the 5th of October. Due to a FIFA ban preventing Zimbabwe from hosting international matches, The team has been using South Africa as their temporary base. Zimbabwe is on bottom of Group C with 5 points. Group leaders, South Africa, are currently on 13 points, followed by Rwanda and Benin Republic with 8 points each. Nigeria trails with 7, while Lesotho and Zimbabwe have 6 and 5 points respectively. South Africa's remaining matches include a trip to Lesotho on the 1st of September, a home game against Nigeria on the 5th, and their final 2 fixtures against Zimbabwe and Rwanda. Now, rugby news. Despite a 42-31 defeat to Benetton of Italy at Emirates Airline Park last weekend, Lions head coach Ivan van Rooyen remains confident they can still push for a Vodacom United Rugby Championship URC playoff spot. The Lions were down 3-17 at halftime, but rallied in the second half with tries from Edwill van der Merwe and JC Pretorius. Van Rooyen says the belief in the squad is still strong heading into the final 3 pool matches.
I still believe we've got 3 bags, 3 wins that we need to get here. That is close in between there. Everyone, the nice thing, the reality is all the teams are playing each other and we just sort each other out. So we knew we had 4 games against the teams that it's in competition for that 6, 7, 8 spot. We're still alive. I'll believe it. We'll speak it, but we need to be there.
The Lions picked up a bonus point for scoring 4 tries, but Van Rooyen admits too many handling errors and missed opportunities, even with Benetton down to 14 men 3 times in the second half, proved costly.
Penalties, I think something like 8 times we gave them a penalty within 3 phases when we were defending. So then they get 33 plus position, advancing up the field, then they can dictate the tempo of the game. So too many errors from our side. Again, good fight, again, time fighting back, but I mean, if you're that far behind, then time catches up with you.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fidel Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The Midnight Snack. Every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
That is just me trying to imagine myself as a backup singer for Zonke because her music is just beautiful. As the song was playing, I was just, moving like a backup singer. You know how they are, with their hands, being so dramatic and, putting that spice into the song. So the song is called Say Now, and we love it here on the Midnight Snack. I hope you also love it.
Let's talk love, intimacy, and relationships on the Midnight Snack with Chanduko Ligege. They talk about what Africans say about Africa.
Let's find out what Africa is saying in the world of business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon, I'm Nosipho Zuma. In your business news this hour, 3 government departments in South Africa, the Department of Basic Education, Treasury and Higher Education and Training have 21 days to respond to the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SATU, memorandums which will be handed over to them today. The union has embarked on a national march in the country's capital, Pretoria. They are protesting on austerity measures in the public service, especially in the Department of Education. Sisi Sehal report.
The General Secretary of SATU, Dr. Mngwena Maluleke, says they will give the department 21 days to engage on their grievances and failure to their demands be met. They will then embark on a strike. Amongst their grievances is the employment of teachers, safety and poor infrastructure in schools. Some schools still use pit latrines 30 years into the country's democracy. The first memorandum has been accepted by representatives from the Department of Basic Education at their offices in Pretoria. For Channel Africa News, I'm Sisi Salo in Pretoria, South Africa.
South Africa's Communications and Digital Technologies Minister, Zweli Malatsi, says government is looking at ways to make smartphones affordable as the country moves towards the 5G connection. Malatsi says everyone deserves to enjoy the benefits to access low-cost smartphones and internet. Millions of rural consumers are still relying on 3G phone due to the high cost of 5G smartphones. Malatsi was speaking at the 45th SATA conference taking place in Sandton, Johannesburg, under the theme ICT connectivity and service delivery for the benefit of all.
The South African government has taken the first step in terms of removing some of the artificial barriers for access with the removal of the 9% ad valorem excise duty on smartphones priced below 2,500 rands. This intervention serves as an example of the policy levers that governments can use to improve access, but we know that governments alone cannot solve the challenges that continue to perpetuate digital exclusion.
China says the door for trade talks with the United States is wide open, but it has also criticized President Donald Trump for his negotiating tactics. On Monday, Trump said that he believed taxes on Chinese imports could come down substantially, while the Treasury Secretary described the current terms as unsustainable. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that the U.S. should stop threats if it wants an agreement on tariffs.
China's attitude towards the US tariff war is very clear. Washington should stop threatening and blackmailing, saying that on one hand they want to reach an agreement with China, while on the other hand continuing to exert extreme pressure is not the correct way.
Apple has been fined $570 million and Meta $229 million as European Union antitrust regulators handed out the first sanctions under the landmark legislation aimed at curbing the power of big tech. The EU fines could stoke tensions with US President Donald Trump, who has threatened to levy tariffs against countries that penalize US companies. And oil prices have risen after a fresh round of U.S. sanctions on Iran, a drop in U.S. crude stocks, and a softer tone from U.S. President Donald Trump towards the Federal Reserve and his tariff war with China. Brent crude futures hit their highest since the 4th of April at $68.65 a barrel and were up 54 cents at $67.98. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 55 cents to $64.22. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 603. In Botswana, it's 13 Bula 60. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 88, and in Zambia, it's 28 kwacha 43. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 77. Russia is 81 rubles 30. India, it's 85 rupees 16. China, it's 7 yuan 31, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 18 rand 62. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,455 and platinum at $966 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.14 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipo Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. If you are an upcoming artist looking to showcase your music to a wider audience, or just looking to promote your music on the radio, we can help. But there are few things you can do to increase your chances of success. 1. Send your music to music@channelafrica.co.za. 2. We require the following information to help you best: your label, your ISRC code, title of the song, performer, composer, publisher, author, language, genre. These are the things we would like to compose your musical bio. 3, listen to Channel Africa play your music on the radio. The perfect soundtrack for your day. With Channel Africa and your music, you will never be bored because we play your music. Experience the best African music on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África, com Remo Samo e João Yabalá.
O surto da cólera em Angola tem causado grande preocupação, afetando já mais de metade das províncias do país. Simultaneamente, a Agência dos Estados Unidos para o Desenvolvimento Internacional, USAID, um dos maiores doadores mundiais de assistência humanitária, decidiu não priorizar os países com maior incidência de malária. Para discutirmos as causas do alastramento da cólera em Angola e os impactos dessa decisão da USAID, convidamos o Dr. Jeremias Agostinho, médico e mestre em saúde pública, para partilhar a sua visão sobre o tema.
A doença, nesse momento, representa o maior risco de saúde pública que nós temos. Nos últimos anos, a nossa preocupação esteve sempre centrado com os casos de malária, os casos de tuberculose e também de infecção por VIH-Sida. A forma como, em pouco menos de 2 meses, os casos de cólera vêm aumentando, acaba por representar, nessa altura, um dos maiores desafios que o país tem. É expectável que, nesta fase, o número de casos venha a aumentar.
De segunda a sexta-feira, das 20 às 21 horas locais, este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África.
Connecting Africa to the world. The Upside with Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Bringing you Africa's brightest ideas and untold stories.
Connecting Africa to the world. Actually, connecting Africa to Africans. That's our conversation this afternoon, making travel and experiences within Africa more accessible, more affordable. And we are joined on the line, still joined on the line by Pendo Lema. She is the founder of Tempo Africa. Pendo, let's talk about your own personal travels and experiences. Some of the places that you have been to in Africa that you feel like the rest of the world needs to really explore this, and especially Africans.
Okay. I've been to quite some, not too many, but few that I would go there over and over again. And my experience has been amazing with, first of all, starting with East Africa.
Yeah.
Rwanda, Kenya, Burundi, Malawi, and Tanzania itself. I've explored Tanzania. I've been to the most beautiful places in Tanzania. So if I would advise someone to, you should go to this country, first of all, you should come to Tanzania. I'm not being biased because I'm Tanzania.
Sounds like you are.
Of course not. Of course you're not being biased.
I am not, Tanzania has amazing stuff, has Mount Kilimanjaro, has Zanzibar, has Ngorongoro craters, the Serengeti, which other countries also has. The other places that I can tell people to go, if you want to have a city experience, the city experience is South Africa. Because within, if you want to have that city, and, the abroad experience, it's South Africa. You can do some shoppings. You can see all the brands that you want to see if you want to, So South Africa is my favorite. That's why I'm so excited opening up Tempo Africa branch there.
Tell us. So, when you're done, we'd love to hear about Tempo South Africa.
Yeah. So, and also Rwanda. Rwanda is clean. Yeah. Rwanda is inviting. There's full of energy and love. If you go to Rwanda, there are things that you'll forget because it's calm. It gives you some peacefully, ambience. So for me, number one is Tanzania. South Africa, for a city, I'm a shopping person, so I love going there. Rwanda is peaceful and beautiful and clean, very, very clean and organized city, and safe also, very, very safe. Malawi is with agriculture. The cotton agriculture is underrated. When you go there and see the farms, you'll be amazed. So that's all I could say. I've been to many, but I wanted to just
those are the ones that
first.
stand out.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Tell us about Tempo Africa coming to South Africa. What are some of the unique offerings that it will have?
All right. First of all, to the world, South African is considered Africa. Like the whole Africa.
Right.
When you go to the expos, when you go to all these expos, I've been to Madrid this January. They're like, South Africa. You're like, South Africa is South Africa. There's East Africa, and there's so. So first of all, I'm following the opportunities, and also most of the things of the places that I hear Tanzanian wants to go and enjoy and for a getaway is South Africa, Cape Town. So those are the things that made me come there, and the things that we will have to offer is. It's gonna be a very reasonable way of dealing with tourism, So we are discussed about why is it expensive for Africa to visit to visit from one country to another?
Yeah.
But with Tempo Africa in South Africa, I guarantee you, we are not going to inflate the pricing or the costs. We're going to be very reasonable to make sure that we explore Africa together.
Yeah. I want to talk, Pendo, about visa requirements. This is something that has become quite interesting of late. There are several countries that have relaxed their visa requirements for other African countries. We still have a long way to go as well. But what are your thoughts around visa requirements for neighboring countries?
First of all, it's very important. And once all the countries adhere to that, the tourism within Africa is going to be very easy. Because you just imagine you just jumping into a plane and go to a place where you want to go in Africa without dealing with paperwork, It's so like I'll just decide I want to go somewhere tomorrow and I'll just jump in. For us, say in Tanzania, within SADC countries, all SADC country member, you come without visa, and for also in some non-SADC countries. So let's say in South Africa, we come in South Africa without visa. We visa exceptions. So if we really had that solution within the countries, first of all, so many things would have changed, including if I want to look for an business opportunities in different countries, I would come and explore without dealing with papers first, even if the residence is something else. But I think visa should be something that should be something to be considered and to be exempted within African countries. It will help us grow in every aspect.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly hope that the powers that be and the governments and legislators come to the party when it comes to this one. Pendo, you had mentioned that when you're coming to South Africa, that, by the way, when are you coming? When are you officially launching in South Africa? Do you know?
We're on the process. I've partnered with very beautiful young ladies in South Africa. So we are pushing. I'll be there on Friday. We have some few meetings with them also, but it's very soon. Very soon. It's just the registration process. Once they're done, we're kicking on.
Well, I want to see that. You had mentioned something very interesting. You said that your pricing will not be, it won't be expensive. The packages that you will be creating will not be that expensive. How do you go about doing that without compromising on your own bottom line?
All right. I want to give you one secret. It's a trade secret for tourism, actually.
Please do.
I first of all, one of my friends sent a message to me like just the other day, yesterday in the morning, told me, you know what, no, I need share from Temple. I'm like, why? Why do you need share from Temple? Like, you guys get 50%, like you get 50% margin. I'm like, okay, it might not be 50%, but there is margin that is kept into the packages that most of tourism people are exaggerating. If you want to earn money, as a business person, apart from just, as a business person, if you want to earn money, you get a little money, a lot of a little money, if you know what I mean.
And it compounds.
Exactly. So right now, if you think of coming to Zanzibar, you'll think, oh my God, I need to serve have a lot of money for me to come to Zanzibar, But there's budget for everything. There's luxury part, there's middle class, there's every level for everyone who wants to explore anywhere. For me, someone will tell me, if I want to go to South Africa, I really need to have a lot of money. But you can, there's hotels that will accommodate your budget, and you can still enjoy South Africa with not breaking your bank. So that's what we are going to make sure we are imposing in South Africa, in Tanzania. We open up in Kenya. We make sure we have the franchise in all of Africa. That's the target, and make sure that Africans are enjoying what we have, not by breaking the bank and putting a lot of margin. So that's the promise, really.
Pendo, I'm so glad that you mentioned the different tiers of travel, right, which then require different budgets of travel. And this is what I was alluding to earlier when I spoke about creativity in travel, because I think, as you say, your Tanzanian clientele would say one needs so much money to travel to South Africa. But they're not necessarily being creative about the various ways that they can travel to South Africa, and just the modes of transport, where they can stay. How best do you advise people who do intend on traveling to just open themselves up to the different ways that they can actually travel to suit their pockets?
You mean the people that are traveling all the
right? Because people will often kind of box themselves and think they can't travel because they don't have a lot of money, but they don't realize what the options that are out there. So how can they better explore the options that are available?
All right. I think what you need to do if you want to travel to any country, you need to do a research. You don't just see something and just badge into it.
Yeah.
Also, just do a research. Go to the websites. There are places, there are websites that you can go and ask for quotation. And definitely what you should do is, this is my budget. You don't just tell me I need a package. No, just tell them, hey, this is my budget. Can you tell me what I can get in Zanzibar?
Sure.
How am I going to enjoy with this budget in Zanzibar? They won't say no. I've been there. They won't say no. They'll definitely create a package that will suit your budget. Yes, they'll get their money, and yes, you will enjoy. So that's why you should just tell them, this is my budget. I need a package that will make me enjoy, and a nice hotel that I can enjoy, I can sleep, because visiting those places, let's say in Zanzibar, it's not expensive at all. It's very, very, very cheap. But the thing that are being inflated is very, very minor activities. But you just have to tell them, this is my budget. Don't wait till you have thousands of dollars for you to travel within Africa. Don't. Yeah.
I love that. And for people living in Tanzania and they want to travel the continent of Africa, what are your top destinations within the continent that are cost effective, that have access, and that have great experiences?
Actually, it depends on what do you want to see, what do you want to experience, because African countries have different magics, if I can call it. If I want to go to Zimbabwe to see if I want to settle down, I want to chill, with my loved ones, I want to go to a place where it's calm, nature and all that. So it depends on what do you want. If I want to come for shopping, I'll definitely, pop into South Africa. But if I want to go, to a place where I just need to get lost, and enjoy my time without using my phone, I will definitely go to Zambia or Zimbabwe for waterfalls. Yeah.
All right.
So if I want to enjoy water, beach life, and eat some good food, I'll go to Zanzibar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's not even expensive.
And I think it's so important that you stress that about working around your own budget, and that it will be catered for despite where you want to travel to. Pendo, thank you so much for your insights. They have been great this afternoon, and we cannot wait for the launch of Tempo Africa here in South Africa.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to let you know that we are launching.
Wonderful. That is the founder of Tempo Africa, Pendo Lema, speaking to us about traveling on the continent and some of the unique challenges it presents, but also opportunities, many opportunities. Just do your research. Don't be like me.
Do your research. Would you rather plan your own holiday or have a travel agency do it for you?
I'd rather have the people I'm traveling with plan it. I'm the one that shows up on a trip.
You just take out the money.
I'm like, guys, tell me how much whatever is. I show up. I'm the passenger princess. I'll complain about whatever that I didn't actually contribute to finding when we get there. I don't want to plan anything. I just want to show up. Let us know what kind of traveler you are. Are you the one with the Excel spreadsheet? You are that guy?
I'm the planner. I am the planner. I
don't know how you guys do it, and I love it, and because you guys love it, you planners.
There's an absolute passion. Do you know how many times I will look at a Google map, right? Like, how we have Google Maps on our phones. I will zoom into a specific area and be like, okay, what is in this area that we can go to? Let's see restaurants, let's see accommodations. So it's not me going on Google and saying, where can I go? No, I use an actual Google map to find these hidden gems, if you will. So I am the proper planner when it comes to traveling.
Yeah, no, I love people like you on my WhatsApp group. I have to have a planner in the group. There's the one that shows up. What other categories of travelers are there?
The planner,
the photographer,
the planner, the photographer, the one who just shows up, and you have the complainer. There's always a complainer. You're both actually.
No. I don't complain. No, but I'm also fun. They need me in that element.
There's a fun. Yeah. And then there's always one who's going to remind us about the budget, because the planner, they want to do everything, but there's someone who has to remind us about the budget. The spoil sport. All
right, it's at 3 o'clock Central African time. Joalane Tolo is standing by with the news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Top stories. Asawa, a U.S. senior advisor for Africa, hopeful of a peace settlement in the DRC conflict, and a 6.5 magnitude earthquake shakes Turkey. Good afternoon. The senior U.S. advisor for Africa says he believes a peace settlement in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo is likely. Masad Boulos, who recently met the Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and the Rwandan leader Paul Kagame, said both sides were serious. He added that the United States was interested in deals on critical minerals with both countries, but said that would need a lasting peace.
Our role is to encourage dialogue between both sides. Now I'm talking about the DRC and Rwanda side, but also internal dialogue within the DRC, such as a dialogue between the DRC government with the M23. This is happening now, and this is a very good development.
Pope Francis has been lauded as a leader who fearlessly challenged world leaders and stood against the exploitation of the vulnerable. This was heard during a memorial service held for the Pope at Christ the King Catholic Church in Johannesburg, South Africa today. Parishioners and priests gathered to remember and pay homage to the Pope, who died on Easter Monday. During the service, Catholic Archbishop of Johannesburg, Cardinal Stephen Brislin, described Pope Francis as a man who opened his heart to the the poor, the excluded and displaced.
He was unafraid to inhabit the spaces no one wanted to enter, whether sitting with young offenders, washing the feet of refugees, or challenging powerful world leaders. Pope Francis consistently led from the margins, standing with those who had been forgotten. Above all, he showed the Church how to listen.
The South African government says it is deeply saddened by the news of the attack on tourists that took place in Pahalgam in India. In a statement, the country has extended its heartfelt condolences to India following the attack. Spokesperson for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Crispin Piri.
The South African government believes that acts of violence and extremism have no place in society and constitute a threat to peace, security and development. The South African government reiterates its condemnation of terrorist attacks in any form from any quarter in the world.
A strong earthquake with a magnitude of 6.2 shook Istanbul, Turkey. The country's AFAD disaster agency says this is one of the strongest earthquakes to strike the city of 16 million in recent years. There were no immediate reports of damage. People have evacuated buildings. Some shops closed after the quake struck on the European side of the city. Local media is reporting that one person had been injured as a result of jumping off a balcony during the quake. President Tayyip Erdogan said on X he was monitoring the situation. And finally, Ukrainian officials say a Russian drone attack on a bus has killed at least 9 people in the city of Mahanets. In the latest sign of strains between the United States and other allies, scheduled talks in London between American, European and Ukrainian negotiators have been downgraded. The BBC's Danny Aberhard has more details.
The talks were going to be attended by the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and the main envoy for Russian talks from President Trump, Steve Witkoff. They both pulled out of the talks. The British Foreign Secretary, for example, won't be attending now, and the talks will be held behind closed doors at a technical level between officials. So very much not the sort of talks that we saw, for example, last week in France, which were much more high level. This is clearly a bad move from a European perspective. It's a step backwards.
Recapping the top story this hour, the U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa says he believes a peace settlement in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo is likely. Masad Boulos, who recently met the Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and the Rwandan leader Paul Kagame, said both sides were serious. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulongwebe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Third and final hour of The Upside, and this is when you're distracting me. I can't. Do you have little siblings?
Got a little brother.
We've got a little brother.
Not so much a little. He's a giant of a human being.
Yeah.
But yeah, little brother, yeah.
Did he do, you know, when your siblings, you speak and then they repeat what you say, and that's how that moment felt right now. Literally, that's how it felt.
I'm creating ambience.
Really?
It's me doing sound effects so that you can shine. That's all I'm doing.
Feel like
I'm your
ambience.
backup artist.
It didn't feel like ambience. You know what I want to do?
What?
Before we speak all things South African Fashion Week.
Yeah.
I mean, we're always imploring our Upside family to go onto our social media platforms and engage with us. And they had a lot to say on the Floyd Shivambu, what caught your eye, on our TikTok account.
Okay.
And I want to go through some of these comments because,
okay,
people are out here defending this man. Yeah, no, it's really surprising to me because I didn't realize that this would be the reaction. A user, I don't know, user 428, whatever, this infinity number, says that we stand with Floyd. He must not listen to what you guys in studio are saying. He was in Malawi to pray, and I think you guys are wrong. Sleek says, leave Floyd alone. It was Easter weekend. Everybody's going to church for their own choices. And SG is an individual who needs to offload at some point. So if his spiritual father is Bushiri, then what must happen? Ta West says, Floyd will come and say he's fighting for black people while he's associating himself with a person who did dirty to black people. Boyce Madalane says, Floyd attended church, so what's your problem? If you people think Bushiri is a criminal, go arrest him and let Floyd be.
Divided the internet.
Yeah. So some impassionate comments there coming through, expressing what they think about Floyd Shivambu having gone to Malawi, inter-Africa traveling to go to church. I mean, he did one thing, right? He traveled within the continent.
Yeah, we advocate for that.
We do. We absolutely do.
But the context of it all. Look, fair enough. You're more than welcome to chime in on the conversations. We don't always have to see eye to eye.
No.
That's the beauty of living in a democracy, in a free country where you are able to express yourself. If you don't agree with our opinions, chime in then. Say, we don't agree.
Let us know and tell us why. Because it's so interesting to find out the reasons why people disagree. We really do have different perspectives that we all, we respect all of them.
We do.
So head on over to our TikTok account. It's at Channel Africa 1. When we come back, we're going to speak all things fashion, something that Tebogo Lekhuleni knows everything about. He's most excited for this very conversation.
Wow.
It's 10 minutes after 3 Central African time.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
We continue with our coverage of recent arrests of activists and journalists in Harare during Monday's mass stay-away and protest. Dr. Tadini Masaya, who's the Secretary for the Information and Media of the United Zimbabwe Alliance, an opposition party founded in March 2022.
Every Zimbabwean is entitled to expressing themselves, whether they are ZANU-PF or they belong to any other political party or they do not. So what Geza and those that believe in his call did is within their rights. However, we also fully acknowledge that it is an internal fight, and as UZA, we did not participate in that internal fight. We are not going to be used as pawns as what happened in 2017 to usher in a different face for ZANU-PF. It does not matter who is the face of ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is going to remain the same.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons accueillir sur ces plateaux de Mix Vibration un artiste pas comme les autres. Il est exceptionnel. Il se classe résolument dans la trajectoire des artistes qui défendent le patrimoine du folklore africain, mais aussi de la rumba. Ici, Jérémy Tchani.
En tout cas, je vous dis merci à la Channel Africa, à tout le monde qui nous suit. Dans la vie, si tu veux aller loin, il faut comprendre les temps. Il y a ceux-là qui étaient dans leur temps, mais à cause d'une mauvaise conduite, à cause des gens qui l'accompagnaient, à cause de sa famille, à cause beaucoup de choses, son temps passé.
Voilà, donc il faut toujours gérer le temps. Chaque chose a son temps, dit-on, et la couronne ne dure pas éternellement, dit-on. Donc il faut toujours gérer le temps que Dieu vous a donné sur la terre. C'est le message que Jérémy Tchani nous amène aujourd'hui sur Mix Vibration à Channel Africa.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
Marilo is the title of the song, by the way, in case you were a bit confused.
Marilo?
Yeah. Ishmael Lowe has a song titled Marilo.
Is that a person close
You
to
don't
him?
know Ishmael Low?
I know Ishmael Low.
I don't know. It's that's a good question. It's probably mom. Or
Probably
aunt.
someone significant to him. Yeah.
Very good point.
All right. Anyway, welcome to the Upside. If you've just joined us, how's your Wednesday going? We were talking earlier about comfort foods based on the weather outside. I'd mentioned my beef stew and pap. Nompumelelo mentioned, what did you mention actually? You said you had a lamb stew earlier today. But what is your go-to warm, except for the hug? You mentioned the hug earlier. But besides that, what's your go-to hearty meal? Is it indeed a lamb stew? With
no,
mash?
go-to hearty would be soup.
Soup?
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have the lamb stew ready-made already, I would have definitely gotten home and made a pot of soup.
What kind of soup?
I make all sorts. A veggie and lentil would be my fave. Just plain veggie.
Very filling, that lentil. A lentil soup, eh?
Soups are my thing. They make me so happy. They really do. They make me very, very happy. Something else that makes me happy, quite like Pendor, is shopping.
Yes, of
and everything having to do with clothing. And I mean, it's apt because the SA Fashion Week is getting underway tomorrow. I'm very excited. They had their opening party, their launch party last night. And, 28 years later, as an institution that has been shaping the continent's narrative of what fashion is, the SA Fashion Week.
28 years.
28 years.
Imagine?
They don't follow trends. They pretty much set them. I love it. And this season, the runway will be telling a story of quiet luxury. Now, this quiet luxury, we keep hearing it loud versus quiet luxury. It really is an expression of elegance that's deeply rooted in heritage, quality, kind of a clothing that can be passed down, legacy, as well.
Does it mean it's a quiet luxury? Would it mean it's not in your face?
Right. Yeah, but more, I mean, you're looking more at like the fabric, the detailing.
Okay, all right.
I think for me, at least, that's what it translates to. But I mean, our guest, Lucilla Boysen, who's the CEO of South African Fashion Week, is definitely standing by to have a chat to us about the South African Fashion Week 2025, which will be showcasing the spring-summer collection. And maybe, that's another question, because this is peculiar. The weather outside doesn't say summer, spring. And yet that's what we are showcasing. But Lucilla is joining us on the line. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Lucilla.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
All right, let's start with, 28 years. The SA Fashion Week really is an institution. At this stage. Tell us about this year's installment, how it will differ from all the other years.
Well, we have 23 designers showing their collections. We have 216 unique garments that you will see for the first time ever seen. And I think that is something that the audience don't always realize or understand. It is all original design, and the designers are all doing their own prints. So that's a whole nother story. Is the printing is absolutely fantastic, and it tells about a deeper sense of design and not frivolous, okay, let me see what I can buy, but rather starting from the beginning. Right. What is it that I say?
Right. Lucilla, just to a point of clarification there, when you say their own prints, this is not a designer going out to the market and getting fabric there. They are actually designing the print on which the fabric, basically the print on the fabric?
Yes, exactly. Wow. And that brings out the culture, because you cannot design a print if you don't tap into your design soul. So for instance, if you are Japanese, you can't do a print that is European. You automatically bring that culture into your print, almost without realizing it, and therefore it makes the the different the individualism of the designers stronger. They talk through their prints, they project through their prints, and that means that we can associate easier with them. It makes sense to us. We recognize it in the depth of our being, so to speak. Without being typical, but that is really what it comes to.
28 years of the South African Fashion Week. We are currently in conversation with Lucilla Booysen, CEO of the South African Fashion Week. We'll talk all things quiet luxury, loud legacy at this year's South African Fashion Week. This is The Upside.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is your home, The Upside.
23 minutes past 3 p.m. Central African Time. This is The Upside, and we in conversation with Lucilla Booysen, CEO of the South African Fashion Week in its 28th year. Lucilla, for people like me who are not familiar with terms like quiet luxury, we were having a conversation just earlier with Nompumelelo about what our definition of quiet luxury is. It's the theme for this year's Fashion Week. Tell us about quiet luxury and what does it actually mean?
So if we look at the term quiet luxury in fashion, it means understated elegance, timeless pieces, so you can wear it for as long as you want to.
Yeah.
Focus on quality rather than on craftsmanship rather than on like mass production and flashy branding and loud statements. So for me, if you look at fashion, that is what it says, but it goes much deeper than that for me as well. And it means that you know who you are and you don't have to wear where you think who you are. You already know in your heart who you are and what you want to say to the world. And that does not mean necessarily the loud car you drive, the loud watch you wear, the loud clothes you wear. I mean, we've all been to functions where a girl walks in or a boy walks in and they absolutely shout. They don't have to open their mouths, but their clothes absolutely shout.
Eyes on me.
So that is a period or an era that we're moving in where we say we actually know who we are and we don't have to wear it on our sleeves.
I mean, over 900 designers, Lucilla, have walked through the doors of the SA Fashion Week. Let's talk about the youngsters or the new talents that will be showcasing this year.
Yeah. So, yes, the new talent competition is, in its 27th year. It is the longest standing competition in South Africa. And I want to say, in my eyes, the designers are incredibly brave because it's not easy. It's not easy to design a collection, put it on the runway and say to people, okay, well, what do you think about it? And social media. Now you can say what you think of my garments without even knowing anything about fashion. Yeah. You can be, it's very brave of them. And I really have huge respect for them. And there are 7 designers that are showing the new talent collection: Ecstatic, Stella James Presents, Ioani, My Roots, Ngano, Tadi and Nashe, and Tailored Substance. So they're all young, they're all ready to face everybody actually, the media, the audience, the tomorrow night, they're behind the set, and I know what it feels like. So they are incredibly talented, and they are open. They've got no agendas. There's no negativity. There's no political sort of agendas, and that to me is pure. It's pure. If you want to know what is pure fashion, it comes from their heart. It's the first collection that they put out there, and we've had an enormous amount of designers come through. Designers like, for instance, David Klale has come through the New Talent. So it is really a platform that builds young, and say to them, you're good enough. You're actually good enough to be there. So yes, we're very proud of them.
We understand that Gert Johan Kutsie will also be there. Tell us about his role and what he will be talking about and showcasing.
Yes, so his collection is called The Arrival. So he is tapping into the past, bringing it into the future, and bringing it into the now, and then projecting it into the future. So that is really what he's talking about. So he goes into his culture and gets something from there that he brings into the future, and then he takes it into a completely different realm. And that is that whole futuristic imagination that he has. So we are really looking forward to seeing it. It is really a collection that is telling a story.
Lucilla, earlier on you spoke about the theme and what it really requires just outside of the aesthetics. So one would think sustainability is a big element of this year's focus for SA Fashion Week. Let's look at how you are, as the designers that will be partaking in this year's Fashion Week, integrating some of the biggest trends in fashion, such as sustainability, into the collections.
So it's very difficult for a designer to be completely sustainable. So we call it responsible fashion. So if you look at the designs, they are already 75% responsible, because they're small, they don't use freighting that freights all over the world. They are supplying quite close to them. They've got great followers that are near them. So they don't overuse, they don't overdye, use sort of washing methods that can damage the environment. They don't use electricity sort of with huge machines and things. So they are quite, I would say, about 70% what I call responsible. And with the designers that are developing their own print, of course, that gives them that extra, my identity, how do I do it? And a lot of them are using completely, like for instance, Sheldon is working from Naked Ape. He is working with a printer lady that prints completely natural leaves and sticks, things from the environment. So that is really something completely amazing. And then Helen Gibbs, a Cape Town designer, she is working with mohair, and she's doing that kit mohair, which is a very, very fine mohair. She is doing that. Her whole collection is completely 100%. So, for me, that is a huge step forward. Role models, the role models are incredibly important. And if one designer can do it, of course, the New Talent is completely responsible. They have to natural fabrics, all the printing is done by themselves, and all the collections are sewn by themselves. So that to me is we really build the designers from the bottom up. So we have the student competition, we work with 24 colleges in South Africa, we do the New Talent and the Scouting menswear. So for us it's very important to bring in that responsibility from the word go.
That's fantastic.
Lucilla, this has been so insightful. Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. We just want to take a look at what's happening in the world of sport. But if you could hang 10 for us for a second, because we'd love to find out how the public can get involved at this year's SA Fashion Week. Let's find out what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
We begin with football news. Despite the incidents of crowd violence after the recent Africa Cup of Nations matches, the president of the Confederation of African Football, Patrice Motsepe, says significant progress has been made in creating safe environments for spectators to watch soccer. Champions League semi-finalists Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns were fined and received other sanctions. This after recent matches against North African opponents at the Orlando Stadium and Loftus Versfeld ended in chaos. Speaking at the signing of a new partnership with a logistics company in Sentin this afternoon, Motsepe reiterated that spectators should feel safe at stadiums.
I've got no doubt that I got exposed to what has been happening. We'll improve significantly because whether it's in sub-Saharan Africa or Northern Africa or Eastern Africa or West Africa, we want to make sure that the measures we take, and to a large extent is how you prepare and what you do in advance. And I'm confident that we will significantly increase the safety and to make sure that our families and our supporters can come to the stadium knowing that it's safe and it's a good environment to be in.
Zimbabwe has opted to host their 2026 World Cup qualifying match against South Africa in Rwanda, shifting the fixture from their previous home venue in South Africa. Zimbabwe will now take on South Africa in Kigali on the 5th of October. Due to a FIFA ban preventing Zimbabwe from hosting international matches, the team has been using South Africa as their temporary base. Zimbabwe is on bottom of Group C with 5 points. Group leaders, South Africa, are currently on 13 points, followed by Rwanda and Benin Republic with 8 points each. Nigeria trails with 7, while Lesotho and Zimbabwe have 6 and 5 points respectively. South Africa's remaining matches include a trip to Lesotho on the 1st of September, a home game against Nigeria on the 5th, and the final 2 fixtures against Zimbabwe and Rwanda. Despite a 42-31 defeat to Benetton of Italy at Emirates Airline Park last weekend, Lions head coach Ivan van Rooyen remains confident they can still push for a Vodacom United Rugby Championship URC playoff spot. The Lions were down 32-17 at halftime but rallied in the second half with tries from Edwill van der Merwe and JC Pretorius. Van Rooyen says the belief in the squad is still strong heading into the final 3 pool matches.
I still believe we've got 3 bags, 3 wins that we need to get here. That is close in between there. Everyone, the nice thing, the reality is all the teams are playing each other and we just sort each other out. So we knew we had 4 games against the teams that it's in competition for that 6, 7, 8 spot. We're still alive. I'll believe it. We'll speak it, but we need to be better.
The Vice President and the head of the Kenya Judo Federation, Shadrack Maluki, is eyeing the presidency at the National Olympics Committee of Kenya, NOC, goes to the polls and has promised more inclusivity for the national body. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lengwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
So the artist that I just played now went by the name A.B. Crystal. So A standing for Alfred, B for Benjamin. What's your take on people having 2 names? Is it because maybe you can't decide on a name?
I've heard people saying that they are named because of whatever that was happening around.
This is things I also see now. I'm sure now a baby born in the Eastern Cape is called Namatarif.
You see now? Or it was a born baby when it was, what do you call these things we used to pay for men driving?
Mama Itol.
Listen.
Well, Noma Confident is leaving.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege. Join Tebogo and Nompumelelo on the upside, where optimism meets opportunity.
All right, 36 minutes after 3 Central African time. Let's get the latest in business news from Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, South Africa's Deputy President Paul Mashatile says the main aim of the national budget and the approval of the fiscal framework is to enable government to implement its policies. Mashatile was a keynote speaker at a roundtable discussion organized by the Financial and Fiscal Commission in Cape Town. The debate was held to reflect on the implications of the 2025-2026 budget, including the adoption of the fiscal framework. Mashatile says part of the budget allocation is to bring much needed resources for public use.
The national budget is the primary tool a government uses to plan and implement its policies, translating them into tangible deliverables and programs. It provides the resources needed for essential public services such as education, healthcare, and defense. And it also allows for prioritization of government spending based on socio-economic needs and political commitments. Hence, passing a budget is not an easy task. I say this because I have first-hand experience from my time as a chairperson of the Appropriations Committee.
3 government departments in South Africa, the Department of Basic Education, Treasury and Higher Education and Training, have 21 days to respond to the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SATU, memorandums, which will be handed over to them today. The union has embarked on a national march in the country's capital, Pretoria. They are protesting on austerity measures in the public service, especially in the Department of Education. Sisi Sehalo reports.
The General Secretary of SATU, Dr. Ngwena Maluleke, says they will give the department 21 days to engage on their grievances, and failure to their demand be met, they will then embark on a strike. Amongst their grievances is the employment of teachers, safety and poor infrastructure in schools. Some schools still use pit latrines 30 years into the country's democracy. The first memorandum has been accepted by a representative from the Department of Basic Education at their offices in Pretoria. For Channel Africa News, I'm Sisi Sehalo in Pretoria, South Africa.
Vedanta Resources is considering a U.S. public listing for its Zambian unit, Gongola Copper Mines, as one of its options to try to raise about $1 billion for mine development. The miner, owned by Indian billionaire Anil Agarwal, has hired Barclays and Citigroup to advise on the plans for an initial public offering. Vedanta is considering New York as one of the options to list KCM, as the Zambian unit is known. Sources say discussions are at an earlier stage and a timeline is yet to be finalized. China says the door for trade talks with the United States is wide open, but it has also criticized President Donald Trump for his negotiating tactics. On Monday, Trump said that he believed taxes on Chinese imports could come down substantially, while the Treasury Secretary described the current terms as unsustainable. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that the U.S. should stop threats if it wants an agreement on tariffs.
China's attitude towards the US tariff war is very clear. Washington should stop threatening and blackmailing, saying that on one hand they want to reach an agreement with China, while on the other hand continuing to exert extreme pressure is not the correct way.
Oil prices have risen after a fresh round of U.S. sanctions on Iran, a drop in U.S. crude stocks, and a softer tone from U.S. President Donald Trump towards the Federal Reserve in his tariff war with China. Brent crude futures hit their highest since the 4th of April at $68.65 a barrel and were up 54 cents at $67.98. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 55 cents to $64.22. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 603. In Botswana, it's 13 Pula 60. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 88, and in Zambia it's 28 kwacha 43. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 77. Russia is 81 rubles 30. India is 85 rupees 16. China at 7 yuan 31. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 18 rand 62. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Looking at commodities, the gold is trading at $3,455 and platinum at $966 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.14 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Zuma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can get it on the Upside.
It is indeed the Upside, a third and final hour of the show. Still in conversation with Shame, the long-suffering Lucilla Boysen. Thank you for staying with us, Lucilla. Thank you for your time. And she is the CEO of the South African Fashion Week. Now, Lucilla, we understand that due to its popularity, understandably, tickets are sold out to this year's installment of the Spring-Summer 2025 Fashion Week. How can people engage? Are there going to be any online platform snippets where people can get a sense of what has been happening?
Absolutely, we do. We're sort of running a newsroom with our social media.
Lovely.
So you can get like on-the-minute updates. We had the cruise party last night, and if you go and look, you'll see how the people dressed and what they were wearing. And then as from tomorrow, we are absolutely out there on all the platforms. And all you have to do is just search South African Fashion Week or SA Fashion Week.
Oh, that's certainly exciting. Lucilla, let's talk about some challenges, especially from the African content point of view. As African designers, what are the challenges that they are facing at the moment? And perhaps challenges that the South African Fashion Week can help them address and help them make it anywhere, and not just in South Africa, but anywhere in the world.
Yes. I think that in our countries, we do have challenges. Of course, we have challenges, and it starts with education. So everything starts at the bottom going up. Yeah. So as far as I know, that in Africa, there are very few schools, fashion schools. So that's really one of the biggest challenges. In South Africa, we are fortunate enough to have 24 schools. And so for South African standards and for African standards, it's absolutely fantastic. And we can develop fashion in our own countries, very successful. But what is happening with the designers is they put their eyes, they believe that if they succeed, it means that they've got to go overseas, they've got to sell overseas, they've got to be in Paris, go to a showroom in Paris, go to China, go to Italy or Paris or wherever, New York, wherever the fancy takes them. And it is the most untruest thing that there exists. That fantasy is a fantasy, and it will stay a fantasy, because it is impossible for us to compete on the level of the Europeans and the Americans and actually everybody abroad. But the good news is that designers can make a fortune right here in their own countries, and that is what they don't understand. So they measure their success on have I shown overseas. They go overseas, they spend a fortune on making garments because they think that they need it. They get there, and then they see nobody is. The worst is actually for them to go to China, because we've had designers going to China. And what they don't realize is the moment they put their collections in China, they've taken their collections to be copied overnight. All their collections are copied. So do you know what I mean? It's like a short-sightedness that for me is the designers don't measure their success. They do. I'm not saying everybody, but they measure their success in an overseas trips or overseas whatever. And what we need to do is build our own industry, build our own followers, sell in our own countries, do pop-up shops, stand together, go into, if you don't have a shopping center, go into a hotel, speak to a hotel chain and see if you can do pop-up shops and, tap into your own people that will support you. In South Africa, it is incredible how the local influencers, media, clients of the designers actually support the designers. They love them. And designers can make a huge amount of money by just absolutely focusing on building their brand locally.
Yeah. Lucilla, I'm so glad that you said that, because I think oftentimes when people hear the idea of being a designer in South Africa or any African nation, it is thought of as, be careful, you might not be able to make a living out of that career. But I know you're not about trends, and I know that this year's theme is really, in fact, calling for authenticity, craftsmanship, and longevity, right? But there was a really distinct look that I saw from the cruise launch party last night. A lot of people in like their skinny ties, structured dresses, and talk to us about what we can, maybe just a sneak, can expect, the kind of looks that will be prevalent during the Fashion Week period.
So remember, the cruise launch party is a cruise launch party. And what we know is that the people that go to the cruise party do not come to Fashion Week. If there's
the influencers, don't they come?
Not no.
Really. Oh, okay.
So we are focusing on, remember, we are focusing on fashion influencers. So when we look at whether we invite an influencer, we go onto their social media and see how many posts they have done that involved South African designers. And then we grade them by that. So for me, an influencer is not, influencer will not be invited by our media desk if they are not talking about South African designers. If all they talk about is themselves and wearing this international brand and that international brand, they don't come to Fashion Week. That does not mean that they can't come to the cruise party. It's two different
entities.
It's a collaboration.
Right.
It's a collaboration between two brands, and you will see that when you come to Fashion Week, that cruise is right there, and we do the most beautiful cocktails, very, very chic, very, very exclusive. And so, yes, we love our partnership with Cruise. And maybe that is what makes it, is the fact that we're fusing the two audiences.
And Lucilla, you've mentioned the new talent search, that competition. You've mentioned a few upcoming designers that we can look out for. Going ahead or looking forward into the future, what are you looking for in terms of young designers for this particular competition, for future editions? What are you looking for those who want to be a part of this going forward?
Well, I think we're looking at original design, focusing on craftsmanship and workmanship, authentic stories, because the storytelling is very, very important. And what is really great about South Africa is that we're so diverse. So each culture brings a different story to the table. Each designer brings a different story to the table. And that does not mean that we mustn't find inspiration in another culture in order to predict what we're going to do this season. So we're very fortunate in South Africa that on the fashion level, the cultures work very closely, and we integrate, so it is very easy to lend or fuse two cultures and then interpret that your collection, which we really, really fortunate. So we're looking forward to, like I said, original design, designers that are serious about building their businesses, empowering other people, giving job creation so that they could contribute to the GDP of the country.
Lucilla, thank you so much for your time. Absolutely everything of the best for tomorrow until Saturday.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you there. I think we've sent you invitations, didn't we not?
Yes, wonderful. We'll be in touch. We'll see you there. That is Lucilla Boysen, and she is the CEO of the South African Fashion Week. Do check them out on social media throughout the weekend, if you want to see what designers here in the country are up to. My goodness, we've come to the end of the show.
Can you believe it? I'm trying to picture an outfit that I could wear for this. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? I don't understand the laughter. I laugh
because of the conversation we had off air. I said,
I'm joking. But I am thinking of an outfit. And I'm like, maybe a security cowboy hat. What do you think of that? A security cowboy hat. I think it will work out perfectly. And then, what else can I wear? Boots. Definitely boots. And then find a high quality jacket to put on top. And that'll be my look for the fashion week. Do you approve?
When we arrive there.
Yes.
We can text.
So you don't know me.
You and I can definitely talk via text, and then be reunited here in studio.
Or how about this?
On Monday.
Since I don't want to embarrass you or the team or Channel Africa, maybe you can choose what I wear.
Such a much better option there. In fact, you could go with one of the local designers. There are many who design clothes for, and I'd think that you'd be more on the conservative side. So I would think originally see you could find something. Oh no, he'd be too out there for you. Ifamol. Okay. The brand Ifamol by Ephraim. Yeah. You could definitely find something really lovely for you.
I'll shop around and see, especially the upcoming designers.
But in fact, we don't even have to go that far. Africa, your time is now. You could I would put you in a t-shirt.
Oh, I love t-shirts.
Yeah. You like t-shirts. You like joggers.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't put you in a jogger. Do you do jeans?
Ugh.
I'd put you in a Tsepo jeans. Those are two South African brands. I'd put you in a Tsepo jeans.
Problem people will confuse. Like, is your name Tsepo?
No, everybody knows Tsepo jeans.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a respected brand. So that's what I'd do with you. And then
sneakers.
Maybe not Batu. Maybe not Batu. You can do whatever with your sneakers. And then a cap. I would put you in who's got really fresh caps.
Tsepo doesn't have caps.
Yeah, he does. I wouldn't want you to put you. Boys of Soweto. I'd put you in a Boys of Soweto cap.
Okay, all right.
Yeah? So now you've got three different designers there.
So no cowboy hats.
I'd prefer it if we didn't. Yeah.
All right. You've heard it here first on the Upside. That will be my outfit for the South African Fashion Week, and we'll certainly be sending those pictures on our social media platforms at Channel Africa 1 on X, Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. Stream us live so you can see how we look like in studio, not just us, but every other show on the station as well. Can you believe it's only 4 minutes before 4 p.m. and we're about to give way to the one and only Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
Yeah, she is
for Africa in Business.
Going to let us know what's coming up in the business news. Look at her.
She's always dressed for SA Fashion Week.
For success,
She's ready.
yeah.
She's always ready for SA Fashion Week.
That is
that
exactly
the word about
it. That's where we're headed to from tomorrow, and we could just take you basically from studio and
You
fit right in.
You are both extremely kind, undeservedly so. What have I done to deserve this?
You're just gorgeous. That's it.
Bless you. So gorgeous are you too. Awesomeness. It's a chilly day. I'm awesome. I really am. I actually am loving the weather today.
Are you?
I really am. I mean, it's been raining most of the day,
Yeah.
but it's just beautiful. It's been a good day.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in Asia all morning, so I'm happy to
Productive.
get
It sounds productive.
very productive.
Yeah.
Very, very productive. And talk about productivity. We're going to be looking at quite a number of issues this afternoon on Africa in Business. There is the Kenya-China Business Forum, which is currently taking place in Beijing, features over 100 companies from both countries. And on the back of this Kenya-China Business Forum, William Ruto, who's Kenya's president, is in Beijing at the moment, really looking at attracting more trade, more investment and infrastructure opportunities to Kenya.
Is Kenya as big a trade partner with China as we are?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so these are then the initial stages of building.
I mean, they've got a strong partnership.
Yeah.
But when you start comparing, economies, etc., no. But they are significant and obviously significant enough for there to be a China-Kenya business forum.
That's all right.
So it's really about unlocking the opportunities for trade and investment, and really how do you attract Chinese investment into Kenya? And we know that the Chinese are very robust as far as investment on the African continent is concerned. So really it's about positioning yourself as a country on the continent to make sure that you make hay while the sun is shining, because the sun is shining as far as China is concerned.
Just be careful that, they don't usurp you. I mean, that's always my kind of fear.
But the thing is, as the continent, we need to be structuring win-win deals and win-win situations.
Absolutely.
And deals that are sustainable and that will allow us to be able to stand on our own. But the truth is there's no country that's an island. Commodities, that's what trading is about. It's about ensuring that what you have and somebody else doesn't have, you are able to adequately trade with each other in order to, be economically viable as a country.
Yeah.
So as the continent, we need to ensure that we don't find ourselves in another US type of scenario as far as China is concerned. But they are different, and their approach and their philosophy to business and investment is markedly different from the United States, and we are all part of BRICS as well. And so we'll see where that goes. But so far, so good as far as those relations. Really, really quickly, while we still have 15 seconds left.
Go ahead.
There's also the Invest in African Economy Energy Forum. We're going to throw forward to that. It's taking place in a couple of months' time in Paris, France. Actually, not a couple of months, a couple of weeks' time, which is in about a month or so. So we'll be throwing forward to that. And then not good news for South Africa. The International Monetary Fund has once again downgraded the economic outlook for South Africa. We'll take a look at the reasons why. We'll be having independent economic analyst Professor Bonke Tumisa talking us through that.
Not good news the IMF has done this. I mean, the US either. They've slashed their forecast.
I mean, the ripple effects of the US tariffs are going to be felt across the board. And so one cannot look at this entire scenario in isolation without looking at the impact of that. And so we'll find out about the various factors that have led to the downgrading and what the impact will be on a global economic scale.
Does this mean we have to hang on to every job, but try to get, is this going to be topsy-turvy time?
You better behave. I mean, between the VAT hike and the IMF downgrading, you better make sure that you're here on time, that you don't lose your job, that you're on tip-top behavior.
Pay debt.
Pay your debt. Make sure that you don't make waves if you cannot afford to make waves. Stay safe. That's all we say. We just say, stay safe. It's going to be a rough ride. It's going to be a rough ride. Look, it's gone exactly 4 p.m. Central African time. Thank you very much to the two of you. It certainly sounds like it's been a very fruitful few hours. As we make our way through to Africa in Business, let's take you straight to the news desk for your latest. It's 4 o'clock.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories. A Tunisian judge orders the detention of a prominent lawyer, and the US issues explicit proposals to both Russia and Ukraine for an end to the war. Good afternoon. I'm Cholani Tulongwebe. A Tunisian judge has ordered the detention of prominent lawyer Ahmed Souab, a fierce critic of President Kais Saied. This comes 2 days after his arrest for comments about the judiciary. Souab is among the lawyers acting for opposition leaders who received prison sentences on Saturday on conspiracy charges. He strongly criticized the judge and the trial last week, calling the proceedings a farce and saying the judiciary had been destroyed. The U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa says he believes a peace settlement in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo is likely. Masad Boulos, who recently met the Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and the Rwandan leader Paul Kagame, said both sides were serious. He added that the United States was interested in deals on critical minerals with both countries, but said that would need a lasting peace.
Our role is to encourage dialogue between both sides. Now I'm talking about the DRC and Rwanda side, but also internal dialogue within the DRC, such as a dialogue between the DRC government with the M23. This is happening now, and this is a very good development.
Pope Francis has been lauded as a leader who fiercely challenged world leaders and stood against the exploitation of the vulnerable. This was heard during a memorial service held for the Pope at Christ the King Catholic Church in Johannesburg, South Africa today. Parishioners and priests gathered to remember and pay homage to the Pope who died on Easter Monday. During the service, Catholic Archbishop of Johannesburg, Cardinal Stephen Brislin, described Pope Francis as a man who opened his heart to the poor, the excluded and displaced.
He was unafraid to inhabit the spaces no one wanted to enter, whether sitting with young offenders, washing the feet of refugees, or challenging powerful world leaders. Pope Francis consistently led from the margins, standing with those who had been forgotten. Above all, he showed the Church how to listen.
The South African government says it is deeply saddened by the news of the attack on tourists that took place at Pahalgam in India. In a statement, the country has extended its heartfelt condolences to India following the attack. Spokesperson for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Crispin Piri.
The South African government believes that acts of violence and extremism have no place in society and constitute a threat to peace, security and development. The South